Alright.
You see that?
I gotta love a tech check. Yes, I can see it. Goody. Goody gumdrops. Let me check my desk too.
We're going through
Yes.
Skype, aren't we? There we go.
There we go. Okay. Yep, that's all looking good. Although I am seeing still the overlay there. So I can see the Vudoo Guru feed coming through, which is the...
Get rid of that?
Yeah.
That?
Yeah. No, that'll close that. That'll be all right.
So there you go. And I can step
Doing.
through this.
Ah, yes. There we go.
Yeah?
Cool Magul. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are joined with us on the live chat. Let's see if I can get... I might need to refresh this. Bear with us. Bear Grylls with us. Okay, I can see the chit chat. Yay. I just spelled hello with a W on the end of it. I don't know what I'm doing.
We can hear you, John. Evening is what Undead Will Destroy All says.
Excellent. Evening. All right, sweet. I think we're going to get going. So, for those of us who are participating in the live feed, we shall remain silent until the introduction video is over. On 3, 2, 1, and...
This week on the Adobe Video CHiNWAG, we speak with Nick Morgan, CEO of Vudoo. Feel the convenience of a custom experience and control your pipeline in the Premiere timeline. Convert video seeds into e-commerce leads. With Video Interactive, the impact is massive. Join the live stream with John Barrie and Paul Murphy this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Melbourne time.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Adobe Video CHiNWAG. We are on Season 2, Episode 5. I have a guest speaker with me this week, and we have Paul Murphy back.
Hello.
Paul.
Hello.
So we have Paul and Nick. Paul, how are you? You were crook last week. Are you well?
I'm feeling better, but my son has caught what I had. So that's a whole nother thing. But I'm here now because I have my priorities straight.
Good man. Nick, how are you doing?
Splendid. Thanks, JB. Thanks for inviting me on.
That's all right. Thanks for joining us.
My chin. Let's go.
Need to wag your chin. That's hilarious.
That'll take off. Put that on a t-shirt.
Need to wag my chin. That's a t-shirt right there. So the topic of tonight's conversation is around interactive video, and I think a lot of people probably don't quite know what that is. So we're going to do our best to assume that the people who are watching at home or in wherever they are might not know what it is. So I might just ask you, Nick, to clarify what is interactive video, and then you give us an idea about what Vudoo is and sort of why Vudoo came to be.
Sure.
Just give us a bit of an insight.
Thank you very much. Yes, great to be here. So thank you for having me on. Interactive video. Well, it's a big phrase. Really, it's a big catch-all. It really is about the experience for a viewer becoming a user and reaching beyond, say, the controls of the video frame, beyond your play, stop, pause, and moving into the actual frame itself and interacting with the content that's being, watched. Interactive video can be from simple call to actions and links through to more narrative experiences, more immersive, to say deeper content on screen, You may have choose your own adventure style videos, which are becoming really, really popular. Really, it's an interactive video as a way of going beyond views and breaking into a space where we can look at unpacking the content, so to speak, and starting to really look at the analytics behind it. Because once you build, say, interactive experiences within video content, you create data points, which then you can collect all the information from and measure. So all of a sudden you're presented with a whole bunch of new analytics beyond just maybe your traditional video player analytics. And that's, in a nutshell, that's interactive video.
So I saw some of your video content around explaining what it is that it sort of does, and to me it kind of felt like having inside a video clickable spaces like a website, but it was in the video.
Yeah, look, I think that's a one way of looking at it. We're really working hard to go beyond the website, because I think that can sometimes be, some products can go down that path, and you're really kind of, it's almost like, Inception, right? You're creating an experience inside of a website. We want to move away from that. We want to really focus on what's happening between the viewer and the content in the moment, and create more fluid, more natural, more narrative-based experiences rather than it just being a website. I think what we're finding is the big social platforms are really pushing the boundaries here. And you're seeing more of it on, say, platforms like Twitch. You're seeing it on Netflix. TikTok do a fantastic job of a really immersive, dynamic video interface, live kind of, and then recorded, and they're really pushing that. So it's really going beyond, say, a website and moving more into more of a dynamic, immersive experience and melding the video and those interactions together. I try to get away from call to actions because it kind of really simplifies it. Some of the examples I'll show you tonight, we're really creating very immersive experiences from very mass reach, product or, say, devices which are in everybody's hands now. There's no need for more technology to be adopted or downloaded. We can achieve really immersive experiences with interactive video right now, rather than coming down the pipeline.
John, can I ask a question at this stage?
Yeah,
just because when you said there are people in the audience who don't fully understand what we're talking about when we mean interactive videos, so I am representing the audience in this case because I have no idea what we're talking about. I understand what interactivity is, and I remember the days of making a video and then adding sort of links to it through Flash and things like that.
Yeah.
But are we talking about? So I understand what interactivity is, and that you could have places where you can capture data or decisions or things like that. But are we talking about something that you can then upload to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, where it can be led by the user's interactions then? Is that what we're talking about?
No, that's really, you're moving into the native video realm of those channels.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of interactive video platforms can be published, like ours, can be published on those channels and play within those apps and with within those platforms. But it's really where our magic comes to life is on owned assets.
Yeah.
So it's really about we're undertaking some extended content pieces with some companies at the moment and some clients. And it's really about the content that's on their owned platforms and how can they, those brands, organizations, government departments, enterprises that are using video on their owned platforms, how do they create an immersive, dynamic experience for their consumers, for their audience that they may be receiving on other big social channels? How can they match? How can they leverage it? Right? If you have consumers on these channels that are having an incredible experience with, say, Bandersnatch or with TikTok, and they come across to your platform, if you're a government department, like where we work very closely with the ATO, it's the ATO's opportunity to say, hey, Kate, our grad program, our grads that we would like to, bring on board for the ATO, let's actually create content which is in line with what they're consuming every day, rather than it being very, yeah.
And
Does that
how?
kind of help that way?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That sort of narrows it down because I understand interactivity, but I'm trying to get at it from like the tech side of it as well. Like I can't just open up a QuickTime
Come at me,
file.
Paul. Come at me.
All right, here we go. So
Steven Seagal.
Then that's a callback to a joke that we had prior to recording, so nobody will understand it. But then my question beyond that is, so I'm assuming the way we've done this in the past is Flash and HTML5. Like I am way out of my wheelhouse here, so I'm just making it up.
No. I think you're definitely on the right path.
So how is the way that you guys are doing it a different way of doing it?
I think that we've progressed really far with technologies. We're still using HTML5, but we're using more technologies to be more fluid. I think the crux of it for us are the analytics behind it. So I think in the past, because interactive video is not new, like you said, like it's been around for quite some time, but it's very much been in a very light experience, and it's been judged on that light experience. Whereas now you're finding a lot of studies around, say, cognitive resonance or deeper resonance with interactivity. A lot of stuff coming out of Israel, studies around engaging with content that are showing that the interactivity video has a lot of power behind it, and it's
what's cognitive resonance? Sorry.
Well, it's about the how you actually connect with that content using your fingers and your touching. And kind of there's a lot happening with regards to your brain and understanding the content. So if you are watching a piece of video content, you know that your brain is saying you can play, stop, pause. If you create more moments or more content on top of that other content that's layered, your brain has to work hard to understand that new narrative coming on top. So then you actually learn more fast. There's a whole bunch of stats behind that. But coming back to answer your question, I think the value that we provide now are the analytics behind it. So, for example, with a Choose Your Own Adventure video, we can we're working with a global surf company at the moment, big global campaign coming up. Videos that will be on their main sites in the US, Australia, that will be on there for a number of years. That Choose Your Own Adventure content we're creating for them allows them to see the pathways to understand their content. And then we present workflows and pathway flows and charts to show how that content was consumed, rather than it just being one 2-minute video. There's like 240 edits of 30-second videos. So it's a richer experience for the viewer. But I think, where's it come from what it was? It's really the analytics behind it. And we're finding that our customers want more than just total views, unique views, 25th, 50th percentile. They want to know more about what do they actually appreciate? What are they consuming? How much time are they spending on this piece of clothing? Or, that regulatory information, did they actually consume it? Or did everyone drop off at 50% and no one watched it? No one consumed it. Kind of that's where we're going now. So I feel like it was really, when I came across this 5 years ago, where it answered a problem for me. And I saw an immediate solution that I had a problem like 5 years before that. And it's like I knew about this technology, but now I saw where it was going, and I kind of clicked, and I saw the analytics behind this. It's unlocking the view and knowing more about what our content is communicating to the viewer. And that's by engaging with touch and interactivity, we then create these insights off the back of the analytics. That's really where the difference is, I think.
So if I'm in marketing and I want to understand certain things about my audience, then I can plan out my content in such a way that I'll be able to capture that data and analyze it afterwards.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So you might have. Yeah. Sorry, you go.
No. You go.
So you might have if you are in marketing, you might have 4 or 5 products that you need to communicate to your audience. Instead of having one video for each of them, you may have one long Choose Your Own Adventure video and you know that your you have to provide, in that video, you have to actually provide certain level of technical information that's governed by regulatory, regulations that you need to communicate this technical information. And what we're finding is some companies have had to build that into voiceovers or build that show that deeper information inside the video content. Using Vudoo, they've been able to put that content into clickable overlays and call outs inside that within narrative context, right? But what it's done is it's allowed the production company to take the full minute or 2 minutes and really work the production values and the creative, and not jam it full of the information that they probably don't want to put in there because it impacts the production values and it impacts the narrative. But the company needs to have it in there because it's got, it's by law we need to have that information there. We're finding that with automotive. So it allows you to put more information also into a video.
Yeah, wow. So this, we're talking about this in a pretty sort of abstract kind of way. We do have some content where we can show what it looks like. I was going to cut it up into bits so we can kind of stop and then talk about it, because there's lots of bits in here, but I'm just going to pause and rewind. So what I'll do, I'll share my screen through the magic of buttons. Buttons, which should be POW, that one. Right, so we'll start with this one. What I might do then is start going through talking about what we're seeing, and then you can give us a little explainer, Nick, about what we're about to be watching.
Quite a few here, so you might want to just cruise through, because as you said, you're going to cut it up. But look, we are big supporters of Are You OK? They do amazing things. They're incredible how they support the community with their messaging. They came to us this year. They had been approached by their partners to create 360 videos and other types of immersive content. And there was a concern that how would that be viewed on all devices? Will that get, would there be bandwidth issues, or, is there another way that we could achieve a really immersive experience? And with Vudoo, they were able to work with their agency partners and their production partners and create a really immersive moment of storytelling, which helps the Are You OK Day communicate to their audience how best to manage a situation with someone who may be in, a certain place, trouble, and that needs you. How do you manage that moment if you've got a very close relative?
That's super challenging.
Or right in that moment where they are being incredibly vulnerable and they're telling you, I'm not coping.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, let's have a look at the video. Let's play a little video so we can kind of see and show everybody what your technology has enabled through video to get people to be able to make those decisions in the privacy of their own space. So there's no audio for it.
There's no audio for it. We can
just so you know.
We can just kind of discuss.
So that little click to start bit, I'm just going to rewind here. So this little click to start bit, that's actually an interactive button that's part of your platform.
That's actually part of the file, and we use Vudoo can turn any element seen on screen into a button. I'm going to show you later how we turned that button into a screen by creating a clickable element. It's a highlighted clickable element, and we've made it as simple to use as possible, and you'll see how simple it is. But that's actually part of the file, and they use our technology to turn it into a clickable button.
Yeah, cool. All right, I'll just keep playing through.
So here, there's the friend. What's actually happening here? There's a narration here where it's the friend talking to themselves in their own mind and trying to work out, what should I do? This friend's expressed, being vulnerable and expressing where they're at, and their friend is trying to work through what do I do here? And this is one of the toughest messages that Are You OK has to try and get across. How best to manage and to cope with people in these situations and provide them the support they need in the moment. And if we talk about a problem, one of the problems Are You OK Day had was they were producing content and discussing, in that content how best to manage, in these scenarios, these situations, but their content, was going for say a minute, and everyone was dropping off at say 5-10 seconds, and so the really, really critical messages weren't being consumed. Okay, they saw this ongoing. That's a real problem, right? Because they're a not-for-profit. They've got to watch their budgets really carefully. They've invested heavily into really high production value video content to get these really important messages across, and no one's watching them.
Right. And
so
I guess sometimes
that's a real problem.
Sometimes that sort of stuff that, especially with this kind of content, what I find fascinating about it is that the nuggets are there, but you kind of got to sift through to find it. And video is really tricky to sort of find things that way, unless it's captioned and there's a search engine for the caption. It's really difficult. Like that's what a PDF or something like that, where it's searchable. You can kind of, or a website even, you kind of click and jump to the bit you're interested in. Whereas that's what this feels like. It's enabling the consumer of the video to do is get quickly to a point where it's like, oh, which part are you interested in most? And then select it and then navigate themselves and create their own personalized video story based on their interest. I think this is a total game changer for the way video as an asset is such an interesting sort of type of way of communicating these days. But like you say, there's drop-off because it's probably not getting to the point that the person who's watching is interested in yet. It's probably later, but they drop off, so they never know.
It's raining video content all around us.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly powerful message, but it's consistently, diluted by just volumes of content. So how do we cut through it? How do we get these critical messages out? And so what they were able to do was create this really intuitive choose your own adventure, where they've planned this out really carefully, right? They've planned it out and said, right, we're going to shoot this, we're going to put the questions and some ideas actually physically in the frame. Then we're actually going to use Vudoo to turn those elements and make them clickable. Each one of those elements then loaded a corresponding video that related to that, that pathway. And then again, once in that pathway, you had more options, and you could learn more information, download information, or you could keep navigating through and keep learning about the different scenarios that you could experience. This was a game changer for Are You OK Day. All of their traditional video metrics saw a very high performance lifted. They saw this video actually performed better on social channels than the native video on some social channels. It was just incredibly intuitive, incredibly immersive, and very accessible with current devices. And
right,
so
that's something as well, isn't it? It's not just I mean the phone's part of it, but obviously you can click on with the mouse on a different device, an iPad, or whatever.
You can watch it across any device.
Yeah.
And so that was it was a really every campaign that Are You OK Day will moving forward will be a choose your own adventure immersive video like this, because it delivered and solved the problem, which is they had mass consumption, high interaction rates. So you're driving high interaction, you drive high usage, which is content's being consumed, and all of those pathways. They're not assuming it's being consumed. They're looking at all the pathways through analytics, and they're actually looking at the data and analyzing it and showing, the data doesn't lie. So
there's a quick question that's popped up there is there a back button? Usually I've seen there is.
So that's really just Vudoo is a sandbox, right? And that comes up to, depends on what you're trying to achieve. You could create back buttons in the file, or you could, with Vudoo's native technology, you could actually create back buttons and place them around. It's really up to you. We've had some customers create menus and go back and forth, but it's a sandbox, so it's up to what you're trying to achieve.
Cool. All right, well, let's jump into the next one. I think what we'll do, we'll play a few out, and then we'll have a bit of a discussion about it and let people kind of watch and then maybe come up with their own questions. But let's just watch a few of these other ones and let it run a bit. So we've got Monash. Okay, so this is a typical sort of find out more and click into things that you would normally see on like YouTube. But this is for them to jump to, is that jumping to their website?
So if you just go back, I'll just give you a snippet of what's going on here. Pandemic, universities have been hemorrhaging, having a really hard time, and I feel for all of them because they are they're a backbone of society. They, how do they run open days? How did they run open days during the pandemic? Monash, pretty. Wow, they're really dynamic with their thinking. They're really creative, and they saw in advance and said, "We need to do everything online. How can we take it one step further rather than just being a website? Let's actually be really immersive and get our people," which is what's we're missing, right? The students aren't having contact with our staff, with their lecturers, with their tutors. Let's connect them. Let's bring those people to the foreground and hear from them. And help them navigate. And help those users and the students navigate. So we helped, we partnered with Monash, and we helped turn their open day into a completely clickable virtual video open day. And it made stars of, really key lecturers and staff, and was really immersive, great results. They were able to measure the views, location around where they were being watched, where the interactions were being, engaged with from different regions. It drove, activity into different areas. They could see the different content streams that people were consuming. All of a sudden, they would take that traditional open day, which would have probably been measured on, real life experiences and sign-ups and participation. It was unpacked and reformed as a digital online experience. And because it was all interactive, the analytics were able to provide them the insights of what was really going on with open day. And we've got a multi-year agreement with Monash, and they're a great believer in us, and that has been a really great success for them. I mean, after the back of that, we're now working with universities, more universities across Australia and also in the UK.
That's awesome. There's a quick question that's popped up here. Are you able to talk about which sort of social platforms that these are deployed across, and that your embedded content sits in and can work? Is it everything? Is there a limitation?
Pretty much everything. It doesn't play natively. It's posted as an organic post. If you're on like with all the social platforms, once you're on inside that, most people are inside their apps on their phone. They can press on the play icon, and it opens up and it plays immediately, and all the interactivity is live, and we can pull all that data from that social platform back into Vudoo. And then once they close the video, it goes back to their stream. So it works, okay. And we haven't really had a hiccup.
So does that work in like YouTube? Because YouTube have their own sort of clickable, over-the-top sort of button system.
And hence why it does not work in YouTube.
So there you go. There's a caveat.
There you go. YouTube is a beast unto itself and its own a walled garden, and they invested heavily in levels of interactivity a number of years ago, but it was only a couple of years ago they decided to pull back from that. And I've got a really interesting story for you. I was in Singapore maybe about a year or two ago, and a friend of mine, quite senior in the kind of ad land there in Singapore, said, "Hey, I've got some friends who want to meet you. Could you come for a meeting with me?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'd love to come for a meeting with you. Here's the address." And I put the address in. I didn't know where I was going. As the cab pulled up, I'm standing there in front of Google headquarters in Singapore, and I'm like, "What's all this about?" Anyway, I was greeted there, and they said, "Please come with us, Mr. Morgan." And I was escorted into a quiet room with my friend, and sitting there with one gentleman with a massive screen in front of me, a face the size of a billboard comes on screen, like God, and they proceeded to tell me about what a wonderful job I was doing with Vudoo, and we're very aware of you, and you're doing a great job, and we just wanted to say hi and meet you.
Oh.
That could be a good story or a terrifying story.
It could be a damn
say.
good story. Look, they took me down to the canteen, they gave me lunch, and they sent me on my way. But it was a very interesting experience.
Here's your pack of cheesels. Oh dear me. Okay, yeah, that's well, who knows where you're going to take this, because I'm sure everybody's like, dang it, they've figured out a way to kind of make this for everyone. They don't have to stay inside our ecosystem. All right, well, maybe let's just jump on another one here. Let's just keep going through these different examples, because there's a few different types of things that you've worked on, and different brands you've worked with too. So this is a DJ's or David Jones virtual runway.
Well, given how tutorial you both are, I think this will really speak to you both. So we worked with David Jones on their annual presentation, annual runway show. This is very much in line, John, with what you were saying in regards to smaller kind of website bites inside the video, and that was really to fit their brand. But they wanted to basically make it shoppable. So this video was posted across a raft of different platforms, their owned assets, and then other channels, and they were able to turn every single product garment in the runway show into a clickable, experience, and they were able to drive behavior and drive shopping off the back of this video. So it went from being a very passive experience, which normally they would have, hundreds of people sitting inside, in the aisles watching this, and it was, an amazing event. Obviously, they couldn't do that in the pandemic, so they were able to turn it into a shoppable virtual video, and it was beautifully shot, up there, way past North Beaches in Sydney, in some incredible home, and the team, I think it was 5Ps from Sydney, the production team. They did a great job of actually producing a really beautiful piece of content, and we worked really hard on that because I think there's nearly 50, 60 products, and there's a lot of data management there as well, and that went live on a Friday night, and we had kind of last minute hiccups, and then we were all good, and it was an incredible response, really high performance from that. And it's interesting because that was a partnership, obviously, with American Express, and it was the Vogue fashion, I think it was the Fashion Night In or something along those lines. It was a really interesting experience for the partners because they were able to actually, participate in analysing the performance off the back of the video. And it was a real eye-opener for Vogue and also for American Express because they certainly hadn't done anything like this. We're now engaged in conversations with Vogue around what are they going to do with their video content. They produce so much content, a really beautiful content, but what else can they do with it? And being in shoppable video has been on the periphery of interactive video for quite some time. It's been delivered really well. It's been delivered really poorly in some instances. I think with 5G coming along, you're going to see a influx of video turning into shoppable moments. That's being driven by social channels like Instagram and TikTok, where the consumer behavior is becoming accustomed to being able to engage and purchase through a video. With Vudoo's shoppable technology, we're able to provide that to the brands so that they can leverage that user experience, which is being being delivered, and consumers are being accustomed on these platforms. They can now deliver themselves on their own assets. And we'll be doing a lot more of that this week. We've got a great prototype in development with, as I said, with a big search brand and a number of the retailers, and a really exciting proprietary piece of technology coming in the latter half of the year. So that really came to that.
What about real estate? I feel as though they'd be chomping at the bit for something like this.
Yes. The answer is yes. We are in talks with a number of large, very well-respected real estate platforms, and also and real estate agents and some house builders as well. They spend There's a lot of money invested into renders and into 360 walkthroughs.
Can Vudoo be used in 360?
We've tested it in our lab and we've got a prototype kind of running, but we haven't had the demand yet. But it's definitely something we're looking at.
Well, I demand it.
Well, Paul took do it for you.
Make it happen now. Paul wants it.
Paul wants, Paul gets.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it's there. We've been playing around with it. We're not ready to release it yet. I would like to see further development, so we put something out that's really polished. I tend to lean, depending who you speak to, we could be bleeding edge technology, or we can be really simple stuff that we've kind of reimagined and put analytics behind it. But I think there's where we're going, especially with the releases that we have this year, we're really going to be pushing the envelope with the experience. But I prefer to err on the side of caution and not be too close to the edge. I'd rather play back a bit from there.
Sure.
And test a lot of that with the Australian consumers. We're now operating, we now have customers in global customers, but we use Australia as a test case, but we're still really cautious about the experience and not creating something that's too avant-garde or too bleeding edge, because you don't get the use there. It becomes it becomes all, we're niche enough as it is. We don't want it to become ultra niche.
Yeah. All right. Well, people are pretty keen to sort of see how this works. Like, how do you build this stuff? What I might do though is just play through the rest of the examples, and then you can set up your screen while I'm playing back something.
Sure.
And then you just give me a clean feed of your screen, and you can show us all how it gets put together.
Okay.
But it does work as is the panel in Premiere Pro released? Is that finished?
Nope, still in development.
Still in development.
Not far away. We've got a small amount of development to go. We've put a lot of work into that, but that's not far away.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
See,
talk
now
to
that is something that I love to hear, and I wish we had have said that earlier on, because I love the possibilities
Sorry,
of this.
I've been boring you.
Oh wait, we've just got to put a clickable link in the video to say jump to, and then push you to the.
I mean, just if you're like a one-man band or something, the prospect that you can say to your client, I'm going to make this video for you and I'm going to make it interactive for you as well. I just think that would be amazing. And the idea that you can do it within the same application that you edited in would be very appealing to a lot of one-man bands.
In the timeline itself.
Yeah.
So I'm actually just playing out some of the other stuff. Like, this is pretty cool, being able to see that you basically have someone asking, what would you like to look at, with back buttons, and you can just jump straight into the topic that you're interested in rather than having like a listed chapter list. It's actually embedded into the video itself. Someone's asked about like museums. Do museums use this? Because this could be a super interactive thing for getting the information about a certain what do they call it?
Museum.
No, the space. Like, there's a certain space set up. Exhibition. That's the word I was looking for. Pass me another beer. I need another beer. So very cool. All right, so I'm just going to double check that your feed has come through, so you can show us a bit of how this works, Nick. Any other questions? People are getting pretty excited about this. Having it work inside the Premiere Pro kind of interface. Where, how is that sort of being developed? Are markers part of this kind of workflow?
As part of that workflow. You two can't drill me on the Premiere Pro side of things, because I'm not in the same ballpark as you both.
That's all right.
You're definitely on the right path in regards to markers. It's a panel that we've developed that it can be called up inside Premiere Pro, so that you can see the video. It's a specifically designed experience for Premiere Pro, so it's an optimized version of Vudoo's platform. It's in dark mode, so it works it's sitting inside the platform. It feels quite seamless inside Premiere Pro. And it allows the one-man band, as you said, Paul, to create you know, as you're editing and as you're creating that video, you can be working in Vudoo seamlessly, and then once you're ready to export that, you push it through to the Vudoo platform. So it will then be pushed through to your customer or your client's Vudoo platform, and they can then pick it up and publish from there.
And so then sorry, because I'm just trying to figure out the tech as we go. Does that mean you guys are then serving the video? Is that you're serving it and providing the interactivity, and that's embedded on the user's website?
Yep, absolutely. So we're two things. We're the layer,
yeah,
the technology layer over the top, and we're also a streaming, like an enterprise.
Right. So now I'm beginning to make a bit more sense of it,
yeah.
for sure. So that's great that, like, once this panel is complete, that you can be making your video in the timeline and testing the interactivity within the timeline as well, and then knowing that those two things will perfectly be in sync when you export it out.
Correct. That's it.
I love it.
Cool.
Not
All right,
far
well, we've
away,
got your
not far
screen.
away.
We've got your screen up, so
yep.
you can go in and start showing us stuff. Give me 1 second though. I'm going to just make this a little bit of a better experience. Making it full screen, methinks, is going to be the way.
Yeah, you're getting that. You're getting that feed. Yep. Right.
Let me double check my OBS feed. There we go. That looks better. Yep. I might take you guys off the little pip there.
Damn it.
Sorry, guys. You're out. You're out of there.
My hair done for nothing.
So
I know,
I can
right?
into this, JB, if you'd like.
Yeah, get stuck into it. Take us through it.
Look, pretty. We've kind of got into the editing suite here. It's a very clean. You've got to remember that we've wanted to create a product that's, you know, no offense, Paul and John, but it's not really made for video editors. You've got to move in a really complex space, and we wanted to try and do a level of we want to democratize, I guess, the technology experience, so that we, different levels of skill could actually use Vudoo. So you'll find it's a very pared back, it's very clean. It's very simple. We've tried to make it as simple as possible. So you'll see that this is a little a video that a clip that I've created, just to show you how we can actually. Is that feed coming through, that narrative?
Yeah.
Yep. There's the button there you mentioned before, and you'll see in a second. If I decide to click on that, you'll see here. I edit here. This is the actual. Now my computer's chugging a bit because I've got so many video feeds coming through. You'll see that area there. Now I can pick and move that around. So it's very much like it's very much a click and drag. Yeah. And so that, and this, I guess, from a UX perspective, and that's my background. We haven't tried to recreate navigation. We've lent from existing platforms. We've lent from Premiere Pro. We've lent from other systems, so that we, so some of the way that you navigate or the way that functionality works will seem familiar, so that we're across the different users. But you can simply grab down here in the timeline. You'll see that I can actually decide how long that's going to be on screen for. I can change that here. I've got different options here as well. So I can choose to show a grid. I can show the display or the subtitles. I can show a timeline in there. So if I want to zoom in as well, closer, I can then zoom in to see get right down in the frame. I can. Sorry, a bit of a lag. I've then obviously got different things that I can do here. So you'll see here is pin type. This is selected as a hotspot. It can be a label, so we can actually turn that into a label. Or we can make what's
the difference? What's the difference, hotspot and label?
So if I chose to be a label, I can actually use one of our labels here now. Everything here is manageable. So for example, I can now go into that label style, and I can look at the label style and say, okay, can I change the rounded corners? Can I put a border on there, invert the colors? Do I want to remove that pulse off it? Maybe I don't want it. Maybe I don't want that pulse on there. I can redirect this and choose to move it around. I can choose the hex color. Then we've got a color wheel coming there in the new release. And then I can also choose what iconography There's a very base level iconography, but for a lot of our customers, we're importing all of their iconography from their ID kits, from their brand ID kits, and that sits inside
cool.
there as well.
Yeah.
So we can import that. So you've got all that brand ID kit sitting there as well. And then coming up here, you can choose to action. So what am I doing with that label? Am I going to make it a deeper overlay? Am I going to link it to a video? So for example, I might choose to take someone from that moment into another video and load it inside that video frame. I can choose to start at a certain point in that next piece. So if I had more, see here, I can choose other frames or other videos I can link to. I can link out. So if I wanted to change, click here to learn more on our website. I can jump to a certain part in the video. I can do no action at all. If I was to make it an overlay, and you'll see worth noting down here, you can publish and you can turn off. So if this video is live, I can actually turn those interactions on top of the video, wherever that video is being streamed anywhere in the world. So I could be anywhere that's being published across any social channel, across any platform. I can then manipulate and change the interactions and the content of those interactions in real time and just turn them on and off.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. I can then say save that. Then I can decide, well, if I've saved that, there's subtitles there as well. I can do other things as well. I can create like a checkpoint, which is like a forced or say a timed overlay where the video will pause and an experience will come up on screen. I can upload some audio tracks. I've got closed captions and subtitles in there as well. If I wanted to edit this pin, I can come back here, click on the little pencil at the bottom here, and I could then go into say action, and I could choose overlay, and then I could edit or create an overlay that goes on the top of that. So I might want to say, look, I want to learn more about this, about what's happening here in this moment, and can I present more content to the viewer, and how do I choose, how do I want that content to be displayed and then consumed? So I can choose, and here's some templates here. So you've got product showcase, image gallery, custom forms, long content, polling, and every time you create a template, we save it for you in your own library, and you could also create your own templates as well. That's, if I go back into here, say create my own template. Inside the template, it's, again, what are you choosing to do? Sorry, there's again a bit of a lag here. You can choose to, a whole manner of different things that you can do inside there, right? So I could choose to click on here. I can choose how do I want the content to be formatted. I can then add an element, and then I can start choosing what type of content I want to create here. And then you can go deeper into this. There's more content. So if I want to create a form, I can create new forms. I can send it to the submissions to different email addresses or as many as I'd like. I can add fields. I can add different types of fields, and then I can look at the action of that form as well. And I can create downloads. So if you want someone to fill out the form and then they can access it like a white paper, or you can link out to it as well. So you can upload the file there too. I can set and close that.
So you might have covered this, I might have just blanked out there, but is there a way, like at the end of playing a video, that you can take them somewhere different? Like you can take them to the website at the end, so it's not just a video that stops and then you go on and navigate from there to somewhere else?
That's what we can do, what we call a checkpoint. So if I wanted to add a checkpoint, I can then choose to have this checkpoint set as a checkpoint as an end frame. And then I can create the overlay. So that's when that video finishes playing, instead of it being a frame which has, please go to navigate to www.website.com, you could build an interactive experience at the end of the video instead and have it all, completely, navigatable and have people driving or based on what actions you want them to take. So you turn that kind of very passive, basic experience, which is, kind of a dead end really at the end of the video, to, you're helping them step forward away from that video and you're taking them to where you'd like them to go. So, and that if you measure your viewers and you measure your completions, any viewer that's viewed past 20% of a video and reaches the end, they're a brand advocate because they've consumed your content right to the end. That's
or a competitor.
Or a competitor. Well, let's say a brand advocate. Let's say they're really into your content, Paul. You don't want to present an experience which has them just stop, because they've consumed your content, they love it, they've watched to the end. Now what? So with an interactive checkpoint at the end, you then say, please click here to go to learn more, or watch a new video, watch the next video, or you could load another video, or you could have them fill out a form if they'd like to learn more about what you just presented, or you'd like us to call you back, or you can put a call button on there. It says, click to call now. And that's really how it's done with regards to the magic. Some other areas, so other areas of the platform, your end actions, you said what you talked about off the back of that. You could link to another video. So you could loop this video, you could play another video, you have no end action. So
is there a way to change what the links go to? Let's say you've published out a video that's got the embedded stuff in it, but then I don't know, they've realized one of the forms is missing a field or something.
Yes.
How difficult is it to then go and make that adjustment to the link that's part of the video? How does that work?
As simple as you come back into interaction, you would log in, you pull up video from the gallery, and I'll go back out to the gallery and show you.
Right, so all that information, all that data is still, it's still active and sort of flexible to make changes to it, even though that video is already out, posted
100%.
somewhere.
This video here could be published live and be playing across their platform, and we could be making changes right now. So, okay, well, this, for example, this button here, I wanted to change, okay, this had a spelling mistake on it. So if we go into style and we go edit the label, I can just tap it out and change that in real time. I'm happy with that. I checked it, published that, publish again. Now it's live.
Yeah, right.
And that's the same for
marketing. This is amazing.
This is the same for links in a video. This is the same for anything that you've created as an interaction that I've shown you. You can edit and change in real time.
Very cool.
There you go. And that's the essence of the main editing suite. And there's the whole gallery and the publish area and stuff as well. But that's really how you can, you can go further into it, such as the subtitles and the audio tracks, and our player is now AA accessibility compliant. We worked really hard to get that certificate, and all of that can be managed from the player, can be managed from here in other areas. But it's essentially, you've seen how we can simply create a very clickable experience with relative ease.
The questions come through. Can you actually replace the video content itself and maintain all of your buttons and
correct? Yes, you can swap those out. We've actually got a new asset library which is being deployed this side of June, which is a big release for us. We've basically built our own DAM, a digital asset manager, and in that DAM you will be able to create projects, and you can upload all of your working files to the DAM, and then you can replicate videos, swap them out. You can replicate interactions, duplicate them. You can swap out images, and it's all managed within the platform. Yeah.
So if you're swapping out assets, so I'm gonna guess for a second how Vudoo works. I'm going to assume that you go onto your website, you upload your content, you add the interactivity, and then at the end, when you click the OK, do it button, you're given like an embed code or something, right? Like an embed code that you would then put on your client's website.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you asked that, Paul. I will show you that screen here. So
hang on, let me
this is our publish section. So here you can choose a link. So it's a live link. You can choose the embed code, and we give you that code as well. You can choose the 3 default size. Or there's actually more default sizes now. Okay. You can copy that code and then pass that code to if you're taking it yourself and you're embedding it in through your website or giving it to a developer. You can email that through for authentication as well. If you're logged into a social channel, you then can post to a social channel as well. You can then review it on desktop and mobile to see how it's actually going to perform. And put help docs there. And also a neat little feature was we have an SEO option here. So you can actually embed, say, SEO content, so SEO title, and then SEO description as well. And that then as soon as you embed that content and you save it, when you publish the video, Vudoo will automatically then allow that video to be indexed by Google. So then that video then, if you've published that on your website, that video will then be showing
discoverable
in, SEO. Yeah, it comes up in searches. Yeah. So if I'm swapping out assets on your Vudoo infrastructure, I don't need to then go and update that embed code or the link or anything. The link just stays static, and you're just changing what's happening behind the scenes in terms Correct.
of updates.
Yeah, that's the plan with the new release.
Yeah.
With the new release coming, which is I think John's pretty excited about. You will be able to go into your project, select your are you okay project, and then just simply swap out the video asset, and where that embed code is being published, video asset swaps out.
Yeah. So, sorry if I'm hijacking things, John,
absolutely.
No, man, go for it.
But just in terms of the Premiere panel that doesn't yet exist but will, we're going to manage that through markers, and I assume that you're going to be like putting your code into those markers, so you can do range markers, so time markers and things like that.
That's my understanding. I'd be talking out of turn if I get into that level of detail, but my understanding is yes, it's all built around markers. We've worked. Look, Adobe's been incredible with the way they've welcomed us. John,
I don't work for Adobe, by the way.
I know. But I need to give a shout out to Adobe because they have been incredible in basically taking us under their wing and giving us full reign and access development platforms. And we've actually been working really closely with the team in San Francisco, on that side of the West Coast. And they've allowed us to really to kind of dig right into it and to build something that we know is going to be, as far as we know, it'll be only the second instance of this kind of platform available in the market.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I love the idea that you can be thinking of interactivity while you're designing what you're designing within the Premiere app.
Yeah. And look, the only other panel we know that does what we've been building, because we're not the first one to do it, but the only other one we know is by a Chinese, a huge Chinese company, and it was used by the Netflix production company that created Bandersnatch, and they used it heavily. So we're definitely moving in the right space.
All right. Well, we're going to wind it up, but what are we talking here as far as like costs and things, or is it all a bit boutique? There's a couple of questions about sort of the kind of cost it might be.
Yeah. Well, Adobe is a massive company, and there's an incredible restructure. No, look, we have actually some pretty accessible pricing. We're an enterprise class product, so we're used across big government departments, across big universities, and some major brands. So you can access one-off, experience. Like you can do one-off campaigns for sub $5,000, which is pretty accessible when you think of the consider of what a video campaign production cost can be, and the media and everything that goes with it, right through to we have a world first integration, personalization integration into a competitor, Salesforce, and that's a pretty heavy investment. But I must let you know that the panel is going to be available to everyone for Adobe. But it really depends. Anywhere from $5,000-$7,000 right up into six figures with some of our customers, because they're producing a lot of video, right? I mean, a lot of video, and a lot of our customers started off with the, let's test the water, which is fair enough. Let's do 1 or 2 videos. That after they see the analytics and what they can garner from the analytics, the insights, they step back and they look at it from a 30,000 foot view and they say, hold on a second, if we put a level of interactivity across everything we do, we can then use Vudoo to actually look at this comparison view and these behavioral insights across all of our video content. We then can construct a view of our audience, which they've never had before.
Yeah, the kind of profile that they would get is pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, we can identify, IP and users from IP is de-identified from a privacy perspective, but we can identify IP, we can identify, across, have, where that video is being consumed, how they engage with it, interactions, and then analyze those behaviors.
You just dropped off there. You just said something. Being very powerful. Yes, I totally agree. All right, well, we have hit time.
Boom.
So thank you, Nick, for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's enlightening and fascinating. I'm eagerly awaiting what will be happening in the next 18 months or so as this technology starts to become more and more kind of aware across different brands and just people starting to think differently about the way they approach marketing campaigns. And it's very exciting. I'm very happy for you. Thank you.
You've been a great support, so I appreciate it.
That's all right. I remember when we first met, probably nearly 2 years ago, 18 months ago.
Maybe 2 or more years ago.
I could see the potential back then. So we'll see how the next 18 months or 24 months go for you. But best of luck.
I'll keep you posted. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Paul.
Come back when you got the panel. We want to look at the panel.
Yeah. I might actually do an episode on panels.
We can do the panel. The panel's not far away, so I can come back with the panel. I can show a bunch of other stuff, and I'll have a few more.
We'll also do an episode where we discuss Steven Seagal films. You're going to come back for that too.
Oh man, I'm there. I'll make sure I dye my hair.
What does he do? I'm trying to remember Steven Seagal. He does like silly hand-only combat, like close hand combat. He just does this. Doesn't he just do this?
That's it. Voguing, actually. He's voguing.
He just does that the whole time. And
this is the best part of the video, by the way. We tested this.
All right, now we're at the end, and there is the pillow. Where'd my pillow go? The pillow competition, right? This thing. Okay, it's got
spin it round.
It's got the rush on the back. Hang on.
Rush
on the back. Hang on, I got to get my camera angles right. Very premium pillow. Now the secret word is seen, not spoken. The word. I'm not going to say it.
Oh, so, I thought you were defining the word. Then I was like,
no. I think it's kind of.
That word means.
I think this actually plays into the topic of tonight as well.
Interesting.
In that you kind of have this ability to go do that.
You do
through the video.
That's right.
Great. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to throw the intro as the outro. And good night. Enjoy your drinks, and we'll see you all next week.
See you guys.
See ya.
This week on the Adobe Video CHiNWAG, we speak with Nick Morgan, CEO of Vudoo. Feel the convenience of a custom experience and control your pipeline in the Premiere timeline. Convert video seeds into e-commerce leads. With Video Interactive, the impact is massive. Join the live stream with John Barrie and Paul Murphy this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Melbourne time.